Hello and welcome to Gospel Gleanings for this Sunday, November the 10th, 2024. My brothers and sisters, on this 32nd Sunday in Ordinary Time, we hear from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 12, verses 41 through 44. Jesus sat down opposite the treasury and observed how the crowd put money into the treasury. Many rich people put in large sums. A poor widow also came and put in 2 small coins worth a few cents. Calling his disciples to himself, he said to them, "Amen, I say to you, this poor widow put in more than all the other contributors to the treasury, for they have all contributed from their surplus wealth. But she, from her poverty, has contributed all she had, her whole livelihood." My brothers and sisters, how much of ourselves do we give to God? Not just our finances, but how much of our being do we give to Him? Do we give to Him what we have left over after we've given everything else to every other earthly authority? Or do we give all that we have to God? All of our mind, all of our souls, all of our strength, as we heard in last week's gospel. I think that can be a challenging proposition for us in our world today. So many other things demand our attention. So many other priorities demand our attention. But is Christ our primary objective? Is He our sole priority? The most important of priorities in our world, where we have many options, many choices. In our gospel today, we see that even though a widow contributed a small amount, it was more than the wealthy. Because God does not measure necessarily the external. What's important to God is the internal. If we give with a pure heart, with a heart that is rightly ordered to Christ, that is what He wants from us. When we do deeds in His name, acts of mercy, acts of love, it is not necessarily how much we give. But what matters is, do we give with all that we have? He knows our hearts. And I think in our world today, it can be easy for us to be deceived. We must be grandiose. We must be substantial. Yet, it is possible to be excessive on the outside, but on the inside, have an incorrect disposition. Or we can be inflated with pride or vanity and do things only for show. But we must remember that Christ knows our hearts. May we give authentically, even if it is little that we have. It is better for us to give all. Because to follow Jesus Christ, my brothers and sisters, is not something that we can do half-heartedly. We can't be half a saint. We must give all of ourselves. It's either all or nothing. We either give all that we have, or we give nothing of ourselves and descend into selfishness and greed. God is calling us out of ourselves, but He also commands us and invites us to give our everything to Him, trusting that it is enough, trusting that He will use, even if it's seemingly little, from us and yield a bountiful harvest. So may we give not only all that we have, but to give charitably from the heart. May our intent of our hearts be greater than our concern with the amount by which we give. Because we must remember that God can multiply. He can take very small amounts and produce great numbers. We see that in the multiplication of the loaves. We see that when Jesus turns water into wine, right? He always provides enough for us. The question we must ask is, do we trust that His grace is sufficient? Do we trust that He will provide for us? And do we dare to give all of ourselves to God? Thank you, and have a wonderful weekend.